Now, you mentioned the magic word EV, right?
Ooh.
And obviously, Joe, you were going to jump into electric before me, and I could tell you're just your enthusiasm.
We've already talked about Tesla. I mean,
yeah. So can we have a bit of a chat about the future that you see in terms of car sales and your challenges, and I feel like your challenges as someone in the trade selling cars, and our challenges as people who would buy them, because I don't know what Joe's like, but certainly the last, I reckon 2 years, the base prices of cars that we're reviewing is going up and up and up. And you end up saying something like, this car's only £50,000. So I think there's this horrible perfect storm. Cars are going more and more pricey and more expensive. And then you've got the powertrain options are being forced, if you like. So, the amount of new petrol engine cars that we go and review that are released to market is declining significantly. And the more and more battery electric and hybrid platforms. So what's your take on that as an expert?
I mean, firstly, I'm quite scared doing the job. Because I'm an old school analog petrol head. I like diesels. I'm a petrol head, and I struggle with the EV product. But that's my age and my generation. And I'm going to be at retirement point, not that long off. So for me, I'm kind of like, I think this is good because I'll be out of it. 2035, I'm not going to be selling cars. So from my perspective, I look at it and I just think, wow, what's scaring me at the moment is that the product isn't really where it needs to be. The infrastructure is nowhere where it needs to be. And the residual value of these cars seems to be plummeting. And the people that wanted one at the beginning have had one. And it's a bit like, you need to upgrade your car, but you're being told the value of your car is so low that you can't upgrade your car. And that's what we're seeing out there. And I'm not talking about BMW. I'm talking about the big, expensive Porsche products.
Yeah. I think you interrupt when you see the Taycans.
Yeah.
When you see anything Porsche depreciate like
that's almost the benchmark.
That's when you know. Yeah.
Everyone else has got to follow, basically. And that scares me because it's, I saw someone's post the other day and they said these are disposable cars. You don't buy them to trade them in, you buy them and then you throw them away. And that's an expensive product to be throwing away.
That's good for the planet though, isn't it?
It solves exactly the issue we've got. Yeah.
Bigger, heavier, disposable cobalt. We're saving the planet.
Yeah.
I think right, I'm gonna have to balance Joe here, aren't I?
Yeah.
So there's me on the fence. There's Joe definitely not on the fence, and now you've got to come the other side of the fence.
So I am going to play devil's advocate a bit because I do try and balance everything, right? So if you take the car itself, I think EVs are getting better, range is getting better, reliability is getting better, and I think the products that we've got for sale now are good at what they do. Infrastructures could always be better, but I don't know what it's like where you are, but round my way, there's so many rapid charge stations being put in at petrol service stations. Our local Sainsbury's having a massive, great big electric forecourt put in, so you can see it going in. I think the challenge is that you have it correct. Lots of people bought them either. I mean, I don't know a single person with a Taycan that didn't buy it on that wasn't a company vehicle that bought it for the tax benefits and stuff. So you do that, and then you suddenly want to trade it back in, and the residuals have dropped, and that's a big challenge because that's maybe now putting people off. And I don't know what the fix is, but the cars themselves are actually, they do the thing that they need to do.
Yep.
The infrastructure can do the things that they need to do, and I've run a number of electric long-termers, and actually they do a great job. The problem is the values of them, the trade-in values, the view of at least half, maybe more of the car buying public don't like them yet, and that's the problem. And I don't know, I just can't see a fix.
Yeah, I mean, I confess my wife drives an i3.
Yeah.
And we've got a home charger.
Cool little car.
So yeah, I mean, I was sold on that car when it came out. I was lucky enough to go to Leipzig at the launch. So that would have been, 2012, 2011, 2013, sort of around that time. And was just blown away with this little product and the way it's made, and just even now I could still remember like the Kenaf, the material that they used in the doors and on the dashboard.
Yeah.
In fact, it's product waste from Sri Lankan
It was so
floodplains.
ahead of its time. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and even now you drive it now, it's a lovely modern car.
Yeah.
It's just,
it looks like it was designed yesterday.
Yeah.
It works. So I'm not completely adverse, and that car does exactly what it needs. It'll do 150, 160 miles between charges. Great for my wife. She's pottering around in it. She does the odd run to Brighton and back. Job done.
She can't go and see her other husband up in Scotland.
No, she can't. No, we won't be going on touring on holiday in it. Yeah, but the issue I think we face is that the range. Every time the batteries and the range get better, it kind of alienates the people that bought the car a year ago.
Yeah.
And it's not like an LCI where you go, oh, it's got different headlights, I can live without that. It's actually, suddenly this car's got a better battery and that one hasn't, and that residual value is going to start to plummet. And what's next? You just don't know what's coming next. It's like the new iPhone, isn't it? Except an iPhone is really affordable, and actually a car is your second biggest purchase after your house. So you've got to get it right. The PCP is definitely the way. I just say to people, just get on PCP, because whatever happens to the market, at least you've got a guaranteed future value. So long as you've declared the correct mileage at the beginning, you can hand the car back at the end, even if the market's plummeted and it's not worth it. So that's the first thing. And most people do. I think everybody's bought their car on finance. But it's just, we're being forced down a road that people don't want to go down. The fact we've got this percentage of, whatever it is, 22, 23% this year and 29% next year, and it's going to keep going up every year, that we have to sell that ratio of EVs to petrol and diesel engines. That's forcing a market that isn't there yet.
Yeah.
And we're feeling the pressure. Dealers are feeling the pressures. The manufacturers feeling the pressures.
Yeah.
Everybody is. So it's kind of like, and it's all led by the government saying, there's your time limit.
Yeah.
The time limit shouldn't have been set, I don't think. I think we should just get there naturally.
It was a decision made by politicians that didn't really know what they were talking about.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
I've never heard that sentence before.
I know. But it was an easy, clean, no think it through number. Yeah. And, I've said it so many times, it needs to be more of a balance of, there's still a place for clean diesel. I'm in a little petrol Jeep this week, 1.2 litre petrol engine. It's averaging 48 miles to the gallon.
Wow.
It's a brilliant little thing.
Well, talking of MPG,
26 grand.
There's someone in this room that can absolutely blow us away. Patrick, the MPG king. Patrick's also bought himself a very nice new car. Patrick, for those of you who don't know Pat too well, he's always owned interesting cars that don't tend to work that well.
Sheds.
I wouldn't call them sheds. That's discrediting them. I think the Renault was a bit of a shed, but he's had some pretty cool, classy cars, because Patrick is pretty stylish. Yeah. Definitely more stylish than us. Yeah. But he's bought himself a very, very sensible Repmobile, a Passat. What was it? 2016? 2018.
1.6 litre diesel.
Yep.
SE Business Blue Motion.
1.6 TDI, SE Business, in other words, basic, Blue Motion. But he got here today and he said he struggles to do less than 65 miles to the gallon. That's just, you're talking about...
And it was £8,000.
Yeah. £8,000. So it's just crazy. That's, and you think you're going to pay nearly 10 times that for a Volkswagen electric equivalent today, like an ID5 or I don't know what it would be called, but...
see in the motor trade, that's called Doom Blue.
Doom Blue.
But it has got a B-day.
What's a B-day?
Rear wash wipe.
Oh, very...
That's for you guys from the 90s in the motor trade.
Yeah. He needs some decks in front of him. That's like DJ Tony on the decks.
But no, it's an interest. I just want to go just quickly back to what Tony was saying there about the 22%. That's what it is this year, right, Tony?
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know...
Deep dive into that,
Yeah, because it is quite interesting, because I'll sit there and go, why, like the new 5 Series, for instance, why have BMW only done this? Why are they're offering us 2 electric, 1 petrol, and then 2 hybrids?
So how good would the 530D drive be?
530D... And I can't defend BMW on that one, because I think they've missed the trick not offering the 530D. But what I can say is the reason that BMW, for instance, or all manufacturers are having to strip back all of these wonderful petrol and diesel engines is because they have to sell 22% of the lineup has to be electric, right?
And bring your overall CO2 down. So some of these cars have got a very, the big engines like the M340D had a high CO2.
Yeah.
So we're losing the 40D engine from June, which is a shame in the X3 and the 3 Series. And that's a good selling car for me, and a car that I genuinely would buy and keep forever, and may end up doing in June. So that'll be on the next time we chat. But yeah, that is really, I think that's the issue, and
then that percentage changes, doesn't it, as we head towards 2030, 35.
But the bigger problem, I think, is that the government setting it. Yes, they don't know what the experience. They don't understand how the motor trade works in that sense, but they're also missing a point that we plan as a product probably 15, 16 years ahead, because we got a 7-year life cycle as a rule. So we're actually always looking around 14 years ahead, and we're planning that. So if you go, 2030 is the cutoff, then of course that's what BMW Germany were working to for the UK market. Suddenly it's 2035. Well, what do they do now? And that's why the manufacturers have had to spend so much money running 2 product lines. So some manufacturers we're going all in with EV, from 2025, and that's what we'll build. But actually, other manufacturers have actually kept 2 production lines running, and they've done that deliberately because they've got the electric line and the ICE line, knowing that actually the electric line may not work, and we still need these people to build these cars. So the cost of that is just double.
I can't imagine what it cost. Yeah, I mean,
and that's why prices are going where they're going. Everything, your raw materials have gone up. All the wars in the world have caused everything. We've lost Ukraine as a market. The amount of stuff that came out of Ukraine into German manufacturing products.
I was thinking yesterday about the cost of paint has gone up 20% in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you just won't know that, would you?
I mean, how did you know? How do we all know how many wiring looms were made in Ukraine?
Yeah.
I don't know whether that was. I wonder whether some of the manufacturers went, "Damn, we've got some delays." I know. We'll just say we get our wiring looms from Ukraine and use that as an excuse. But big issues. I know, chip shortages and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting few years. But yeah, like you said, you can only feel sorry for most of the manufacturers, especially the big German ones. I think earlier on, I got sent an R8, not an R8, an RS e-tron GT, black edition, and it had dealer contribution, which is another word for
discount.
You can't say it.
Discount.
Yeah. 40. What was it? 48.5 grand discount on a 115 grand car. So we're talking about, what's that? 40% discount, advertised discount. And I saw there's a dealership.
Was that at a main dealer?
Yeah, that was through a group. That was through a group in Shape, I think, or someone. But there was a dealer up in Aberdeen Audi. There was a salesman there advertising on Instagram. I got sent the post saying, "This is we got RS e-tron GTs in stock, and we were offering 23 grand. We lifted that to 33. We're now offering 50 grand." And it's like, oh my goodness! If you're advertising that, I bet if you walked in there, you could probably get another 5 off. But that's again.
I mean, I have to say though, at that price, that's a car.
Yeah, but but it also says that's what that car's worth. It's not worth, as good as it is, it's not worth 115, 120 grand. It is worth 55 or 60 grand. Really, that's what it's worth. With a 200-mile range, doesn't matter how nice and beautifully made it is. With that pain of the small range and that e-tron GT, it's never worth that kind of money. But then you got to feel for the person that 6 months ago paid full whack as a private buyer for one of those. I mean, it's worth about 17 pence. But anyway, yeah, it's an interesting landscape at the moment.
And that is assuming, so there's a lot of Chinese EV manufacturers. And, the rumours are that those guys could probably half the price of their cars and still be making money. And they're not doing that at the moment. But if they did, that would be
the end.
Wow, it'd be a big problem for everybody.
The thing I find is that when you've got like a lovely German ICE engine car, it has a feel about it and a drive about it and a quality about it.
Yeah.
And I tend to find with the EVs, they feel the same. You get into an EV and it's like, well, it's an electric motor. It's not about the engine anymore.
Yeah.
And the qualities are all pretty much the same because no one makes a bad car really. So actually, when you look at the Chinese stuff and it's like half the price, and you just think that surely is where the market's going to go, and they need to open their eyes to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there is a cost of manufacture that's particularly high in EVs. I would think that always thought they'd be cheaper because they've not got so many moving parts. You've got but the batteries themselves are very expensive,
I think
obviously.
it's 40% of the cost of the vehicle, isn't it, on average?
So yeah, no, it'll be an interesting one.